Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on folks. It's me, I'm George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bobby Talk, coming to you live on YouTube, folks. This has been a busy week for me. I had back-to-back interviews. This is the third interview, three times. I mean, usually, last month was a little slow, but then, right on the time you get a little pickup, So, folks, I hope you're enjoying this. We just got one more day to the weekend, and also we have 2 more days left. We're going into July. Big holidays coming. Some shows are coming up. Can't wait. So, folks, we have here a lovely lady. She just competed last weekend at the Body B1 Classic, and
Correct.
she did the women's. As you know, they do figure at that show. She did the open class, and also she did the 40 plus class. We have the lovely Mrs. Ryan Martin, and we want to welcome her and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, this is not her first interview because she did an interview with a dear friend of mine and a friend of the channel, my man David Bryant. As you know, I call him my brother. Anything but David, he did something a while back. David has hand on my girl, and I tell David, I love you, my brother, but I gotta let it go. I gotta let it go. I told him not to. He saw her at the the all classes. I told him, hey, you get to see her, shake her hand. Don't touch her. You see a picture hugging her. I mean, I'm okay. So sorry about that. So welcome, Ryan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, so am I. So I'm gonna ask you this question, madam. What got you started in the sport, as I call it, muscle and masculinity? Please share.
Well, I had been saying as soon as the federation announced the bikini category, I was actually home with a broken knee and a 6 week old baby, and I said I want to do that. I want to do that, and I've been saying for over 10 years that I want to do a bodybuilding show. But my raising my daughter, working on my career, doing all that stuff, that got took the majority of my time. So finally I turned 40 and I hit my midlife crisis. I lost my job. I lost my mother-in-law due to cancer, and I said I was never going back to pharmaceuticals. And I kind of hit my midlife crisis at a very early age, and I said I'm going to just start knocking off all these things that I said that I was going to do, and bodybuilding was one of them. So I really thought I would just go and do one show, and then that would be it. And I think my light's going to die here. And what ended up happening was I fell in love with the entire process. So the build phase, the cut phase, and ultimately the show environment. Being at the show, you could see me dancing behind the stage. You can see me dancing up the stairs, and then of course I looked like a deer caught in headlights on stage for several years. I felt very uncomfortable being on stage, but it was a wonderful experience for me to overcome all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we'll give it more of a fiction light because right now it looks like it's like
okay,
a,
perfect. Thank you.
it's like the movie from Blade. Doom, 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 doom,
Yeah,
doom,
it
doom,
it
doom,
it
doom,
it
doom. The lights
it
flashing.
was
Doom, 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 doom. My club days when I used to work in a club.
yeah.
So
Well,
so
that's
yeah,
exactly what it reminded me.
yeah. I used to work in a. I worked in a gentleman's club, as they call them.
Oh
They guys
boy.
weren't gentlemen.
Well,
So yeah, and that's the thing is find the sport late in your life. I know I've talked quite a few ladies who got to the sport, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, because I think it's a very sport about passion.
yes.
Most people don't understand bodybuilding as it's a niche, a very small sport. But you look at it's kind of worldwide. I've been talking to ladies who are from England to Germany to South America, Canada, Asia, so many other countries, Australia. But it's been around for a long time. I used to remember growing up. I used to catch it on television.
Yep.
Like network television, like ABC, NBC used to carry it. ESPN used to have it, but now you really don't see too much anymore.
Mm-mm. No, and it's unfortunate because um so I live in a community that has a lot of horseback riders, right? So everything is televised. So that sport, is very popular. It's everything that's televised in the bodybuilding, you have to pay in order to watch it. And I think that that actually um, prevents more people understanding the sport, and it also prevents them from supporting the sport and getting involved and getting other people involved into the sport. But usually what draws people in, I think, is they know somebody who has gotten into the sport, and then they see their transformation, they see how they've changed throughout the entire process, and then they want to do the exact same thing. So, but for me, I was the fat kid growing up in the 80s, which would be like a normal kid now. So when I saw the physique of the bikini competitor back then, I was like, that's what I want. And I needed, because I came from a very competitive background. So I did horseback riding, I did track and field. I was the first female wrestler. I did a lot of crazy things like that. Played basketball. I was the shortest basketball player. Um, and I needed a goal. Like I needed something because otherwise I didn't prioritize my training like I should have. So
Yeah. Well, I grew up the fat kid in the '90s. I'm still a fat man today. And yeah, I used to play football, baseball when I was younger. We didn't like have a high school wrestling team. We were a little poor country high school. We used to wrestle as kids. We used to wrestle girls too. But then you remember,
yeah,
you girls, you start developing, and then we wrestle. We were just copping fields. Y'all were going real hard. Y'all really want to fight. We were just keep that memory. We're teenage boys.
yeah,
Our mindset is different compared to y'all's. But yeah, I think once it's also we need more of an athletes to maybe step up and maybe really push out for more opportunities for themselves. I mean, you have to be your own advocate. You can't
yes,
expect anybody else to do the work for you. Not willing to do your work yourself. Like I know a lot of bodybuilders like to do these podcasts, but mostly podcasts with bodybuilders. But do like something like Joe Rogan or whoever's a popular podcaster at that time.
yeah,
People like Andrea Shaw, who I just pulled up, who is one of the top ladies in sport of bodybuilding. I mean, do more stuff outside of the bodybuilding realm, and maybe it
right,
get more attention. That's the thing is, well, because people look at bodybuilding, all they think about is like these big, muscly people that take pop pills and just get huge for nothing.
yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I get a lot of attention when I work these biohacking conferences, and I've been on a couple of podcasts in regards to the biohacking community and whatnot. So yeah, and occasionally on the podcast, occasionally the bodybuilding conversation gets brought up. Usually we're talking about peptides or we're talking about supplementation or devices for recovery, and but definitely when I'm at these conferences, everybody notices my muscles. Everybody notices my size, especially when I'm pretty close to a competition. And I actually worked the biggest biohacking conference, Dave Asprey's conference, about 3 weeks prior, and yeah, people were like asking to take photos and all sorts of stuff. It was a great experience. So
That's
it
good.
did get the word out for bodybuilding.
Now, you mentioned biohacking. What is that? Explain to us for us laymen who don't understand it.
Yeah, so and that has been a very difficult thing for me because when I opened up my little biohacking studio in Ocala, when I told people what that's what I was doing, nobody understood what biohacking is. And so what I basically do is I hack your body so that I'm able to optimize your body for either healing, for weight loss, for muscle building, for recovery, for multiple different things. And so my tagline is adding years to your life and life to your years because if I can't do what I want to do for the rest of my life, I don't care how long that age is. And if you look at, we have a lifespan and then we have a health span. So our as a population as a whole, our lifespan has increased, but our health span actually has decreased. And so we're just dying longer because before we would get a disease and within months die. Now we get a disease and then we're monitoring and controlling that disease state without changing the lifestyle for an extended period of years. And then slowly but surely, clients' activities of daily living decrease and they're no longer able to do what they want to do. And
Mhm.
they can't get out of bed or they can't go play with their grandkids or things like that. So what I like to do is, I work with a lot of people who are older and who have pain management issues. So one of the things that most people would not think would be a very good thing to do is to teach deadlifts. But I use a hex bar so that when we're doing deadlifts, as long as they don't have like an immediate issue going on with their low back, um, then people need to learn how to pick things up from the ground without blowing out their back. And so this is a good way for them to learn that. Now we're not doing crazy weights. They're not doing 300 pounds. They might start out at, 10. Then they might get all the way up to 70 pounds. And that would be a huge success for them. So, um, so basically when you come to my little place, Quantum Wellness, well, I determine what your goals are and then how we can best optimize your body to get there. So be it reduce pain, change the lifestyles as far as diet and nutrition is concerned, address gut health. So I do fecal matter testing, and then I'll put a protocol together, supplementation, and how to address your gut. Because honestly, the gut is so influential on so many things, from not only the absorption of the foods that we consume, but also to your immune system, to your inflammation throughout your entire body, which affects everything from brain health to muscle building to how your body looks. So, and circling this back to bodybuilding, that's one of the main things that you do in peak week is try to keep your inflammation down. You usually train legs the last day, like a week out, maybe 5 days out. And then you see all the bodybuilders lying down and with their legs up in the air because they're trying to get all that inflammation out of their body. So, that's where, and the reason why is getting that inflammation out is going to make their appearance look that much better because now you're not holding all that water.
Oh,
And then I have
okay.
other devices that help with that too.
Yeah, and the fecal matter test, I know that. Like a couple of times I take the Cologuard test where you check out see if I have, colon cancer. Because some
Yeah,
people say that's better than taking and get a colostomy because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it can perforate the colon that way.
Yep,
And yeah, and I think also how you pointed out, you worked in big pharma for a long time. As a
correct.
pharmaceutical salesperson, and the thing is that there's more money in treating disease than finding a cure.
Yep. And ironically enough, a lot of the doctors that I used to call on now, they've either given up and they're tired of the system and they're completely retired, or they've moved over to more of the consultation, concierge style medicine, where they are dealing more functional medicine. So when I left pharma, I went into, it's called nutraceuticals. So it's where you would talk and teach doctors how to utilize maybe a vitamin or mineral or herb to treat their patient's symptoms versus using a prescription drug. Like white willow bark, for example, that's actually the precursor to aspirin. So, it helps to reduce pain. Red yeast rice, right? That helps to lower your cholesterol. So these are some things that you could utilize that are more holistic. Um, Now, what I'm in school right now also for, if I ever get the time to actually complete my training, which is it's called my PhD in natural medicine. So there's one aspect that functional medicine doesn't do, which it looks at the whole mindset and spirituality. So it combines everything together because your lifestyle, what you're going through on a daily basis can either hurt or hinder you. So, and that's very true. We talk about that in bodybuilding as well. Like your job, your career might negatively be impacting your recovery, your training, your prep. Um, you could be overdoing it work wise and not be able to recover. Like I have a client who, unfortunately, it seems every time he goes through a prep, this is the first time we've prepped together, but every time he goes through a prep, he gets pneumonia. So, and that's likely due to the fact that his immune system just goes, okay, bro, I need to take a rest day. So, and if you don't listen to your body before then that's what it's gonna. do. It's going to say, okay, I'm going to shut down so that I can get the rest that I need.
I
So,
can I can tell you from experience. I remember I had pneumonia many years ago. It was left in my lung. It was called the walking pneumonia, and it took
ooh,
me a while to recover. Like about 12 years ago, I had a heart attack on my job, and because of I had issues with my heart, I have a pacemaker. I had it for the last 12 years,
mhm,
and I'm getting older. Also, I got two bad knees like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Concrete does not bend. You stand on it all day, and also this weight is one thing. And I remember because I made some choices in my life because I was taking my mom for a long time.
yeah.
When she passed, it was time to take care of me. And I remember I went to the doctor's office. Said, "Miss McCarthy, you're just about a few pounds for 500." So I said, you know what? There's something I got to do. I have to cut out some things. I had cut out things completely because sometimes, as you know, food can be both a weapon and a tool, especially if you're dieting.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a comment here. Shout out to my guest popping through. This is my man Black Panther. He says, here you go. He says, hi George, Black Panther. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Also, he says this. He says, uh, Miss Martin is the greatest. Ah, yeah, we got some fans. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I tell you, Ryan, when I got a new girl on here, it's like the episode of Chappelle Show when Charlie Murphy and Eddie meets this guy Nikki Free and say, "Hey, George got a new girl. She finds a motherfucker." That's how these guys act because this is George get the opportunity to see women like yourself because many guys who follow this sport,
Yeah.
it's one thing is going to shows, expense, and everything that involved in it, and also raising a family. Because how old is your baby now?
She's 20.
Ah, yeah. So
Yeah. 20 and 5 foot 1.5 and hasn't even broke 100 pounds yet. And, and no joke, I keep telling her, I'm like, Alex, let me put you on heels, put you in the fit model bathing suit, and I can turn you pro in 3 months. And she's like, Mom, that's your thing. No, I don't think so. So it is what it is. So it is her, she'll find her own sport. Right now, she's working at a new Margaritaville that's opening up here in Ocala, or just north of Ocala. So the doors haven't opened. They're doing all their orientation right now. I'm just tickled pink that she's following what at the moment keeps her entertained.
Well, I remember when I was 20. Remember when we were 20? We were wild and young, but then we get to this point in our life when we are getting old. We watch your babies starting to go out there and work and see what the world's like. But you know
Yep.
what? Maybe she'll eventually. Sometimes you gotta let children be who they want to be first, and then they'll find their way. Maybe she'll,
Oh,
maybe she'll get into it. Fit model, excuse me. Ha! I am.
listen,
I. Yeah.
I know what you mean, but I mean, at the end of the day, that like when she was in high school, she was doing ROTC. She had little shoulders, 6 pack abs, and a 13-inch difference, maybe 15-inch difference between her waist and her hips without training, just doing regular, you know, stuff, PT for ROTC. So that's why I was telling her, I was like, oh man, I really would love to get my hands on you to let me do my thing. But she's like, no. So
you, you feel like what I already created you. Let me update you a little more. You feel like the mad scientist, like Frankenstein.
oh, you have no idea. I got everything out of her father that I wanted. And then I cookie cuttered that kid. So all up
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So
We got another comment. Excuse me, I put my old man glasses on for it quick. He says, "This is my man. Shout out to my man, Black Panthers. Miss Martin, where are you originally from?"
so I was born in Chicago, but I spent the majority of my childhood in Toronto. And um I have a friend who we grew up as 8-year olds, like that's how we met. And my mom thought it was a great idea to cut my hair in the Dutch boy haircut with a name like Ryan. No puberty hit yet, and these guys used to think that I was a little boy that liked to wear dresses and ride bikes, and they still hung out with me and played with me, and and we had all this fun stuff. Ren moved, and then I bumped it, like I reconnected. Thank you, social media, with Ren. Turns out back in the '90s, he and early 2000s, he was heavily competing in bodybuilding and you know, the bodybuilding category, and he was Mass Monsters sponsored athlete and everything like that. Now he's retired. And when I did the Toronto, that was one of the reasons why I did the Toronto Pro, was that I could see old friends, see Toronto, and for some reason I thought it was actually going to be in downtown Toronto, but it was in Mississauga area ish. So I should have rented a car. Because I went a little stir crazy sitting in in the Airbnb doing nothing until my friend was free to come pick me up and us to do some last minute shopping that I forgot. So it was a lot of fun. Oh, yeah, you can come. Hold on.
Yeah, great. Well, give us a second, folks. We have here a comment from my man, shout out man Black Panther. He's basically he says, women's bodybuilding and women's physique are better than women's fit model in my professional opinion. Women's bodybuilding and women's physique is the greatest. Yeah, I get that. Also, he says, Chicago, Illinois, USA is the greatest. Toronto, Canada is the greatest as well. He likes a lot. Drop words great. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, and like I say, I remember a group of girls who were tomboys who liked to run with us
Yes.
boys, play around, hang out, and then y'all start hitting puberty. And again, when y'all want to fight, we want to cop a feel. And and this sport I've been following for a long time. Ever since I was a kid. My older brother used to collect used to be a football star here in my hometown. He used to collect the muscle mags and stuff like that. And I remember guys like Arnold and guys like Lee Haney and Lita Brada and then y'all women, y'all kind of cited my pubescent age. People like Corey Everson and when Laura Craval and Angela Langer. Sorry, you got it. But it's just a sport where it's about dedication and also
Yes.
consistency. It's easy, especially for women. Like what you feel like would you want to see more for your, especially your division figure, where you see a lot
Yeah.
of women are starting getting. It's like the division is starting to meld between physique and women's and figure.
Well, that has been a conversation that has been discussed a lot. I have actually had two people who one was an IFBB judge. When I saw him, I was at the end of my build phase for opposing clinic, and then who my now trainer. They both said, "Oh, I really like you for physique." Me because of my size and my proportions. But then I got to meet Natalia and I took a picture, and she made me look like a bikini competitor. And I was like, yeah. See, I told you guys, like in Ocala, I am one of the more muscular women. Um, but up against a lot of these other individuals, I am still small. So, but I did get a chance at the show over the weekend to meet Sydney, and I was pleasantly surprised. She is not that much taller than me, and she has a great personality. And if I get an opportunity to make my way up to her area, I'm going to sneak a training session in with her and maybe do some practice posing. So, because I still know for me, like the training will forever be in my life, the diet will forever be in my life, the posing, that has always been my weak link. And it is something that I find that if I work with different people, and this is how it used to be in horseback riding as well. They might be able to say something, they're telling me the exact same thing, but one person may be able to say it in a way that my peanut brain can actually process than the other person, and they're basically saying it the same thing, but one just says it a little bit different and then it finally clicks. So that's why I like to work with different people as well.
Yeah, it's good that you like when we hear a lot where I have these ladies how when they have interaction with a judge and the judge just
Yeah.
say, "Oh, you want you to go bigger," but you don't really give them the details of what you mean by going bigger. But when you get a judge who tells you this is what you need to work on, this is what you need to fix, work on
Yeah.
this, and then you might come in maybe better placing. That's one
Yeah.
thing I think. If you tell people exactly what you want from you and from them, I think it helps out better than just give a cookie cutter plan. And also,
Yeah.
she's mentioned Sid Gillen, who is the 8-time Miss Olympia. Here she is, with her partner and friend, Andrea Shaw. I mean, I think she's so amazing. I want to tell you this quick story. I always want to tell you a story because this is where, as my other guy says, like, if you get us something, Ryan, never do it for free. And a friend of mine, her name is Eunice, and I always wanted to shout her and the company Bad Rap. The moniker is big and defined, ripped and pumped. And a few years ago, when they had the Olympic back in Orlando,
Yeah.
Eunice ran into Andrea, and she did this for me. She sent me this issue of muscle development. I love this. I know keep it pace. I know it's getting a little frayed, but I love it. I can't love it. I call it George. But what makes it so special for me when someone like Andrea, who is the current Miss Olympia champion, tells me she appreciates my support and signs it, that really keeps me going because you know what, I'm doing good work. Like, is it like other than meeting Natalia, is there anybody else you've been like a fan of? You're impressed with their ethic, their work ethic, their training, and overall their body?
Oh my gosh, there are several people. The Natalia in figure out of Mexico. I had an opportunity to meet her and work with her. She's also short statured like myself. And this was before I turned pro. So that gave me a lot of high hopes that, figure really was a good category for me. Six pack abs Stella. I love her. She's awesome. Um, I've seen her grow so much in the wellness industry, the wellness category over the last several years. Her and her husband are great. Every time I meet them, they're just absolutely the nicest people in the world. Um, the girls that I stepped on stage with over the weekend, all of them were fantastic. So I didn't really get a chance to talk to the one that won, but the
Emady
pretty much
Alvarez.
everybody else. Hmm?
Emady Alvarez. Actually, I met her in Tampa when she was doing physique,
Is
and
the
then
yeah
we did an interview, and I was surprised that she was doing figure. We hadn't keep up too much lately, but I saw when I saw on the list, I said, "Wait a minute! I thought she was doing physique because she earned a pro card originally in figure herself, and then she was
yeah
doing physique for the last couple of years, and then she went back, and now she's going to her first Olympia. She beat out at
yeah
least two ladies who were former Olympians. That
yeah
is Della and Bahar.
yeah yeah. So I mean, backstage it was really quite nice. Everybody had a good personality. Everybody was talking with everyone. Um, there's a same situation when I was in Toronto. I almost didn't get a chance to step on stage because there was a little mistake with timing and all sorts of stuff. But one of the girls that I met, her name is Shelly. I've stayed in contact with. She actually came in fifth, so she's also been um, another person that I look up to. Her body is rocking. So I mean, she's gonna come and do Atlanta. If I didn't have a client competing, I would have driven up to Atlanta to watch her compete. So because her she without a doubt had the best back on stage in Toronto, and she has crazy shoulders, and I think they've gotten bigger since. So it's awesome. So
Yeah. Shout out to
um,
Atlanta Pro. That is the Linda Murray Atlanta Pro. My friend Eunice and her company Bad Rap are sponsoring women's bodybuilding at that show. That's great. I'm so
that's
happy.
wonderful.
Especially as a fan of that division, I like to see it still have a fighting chance where
Yeah.
it's getting pushed out. We have here a comment from my man Black Panther. He's sticking in here. He says, "Miss Ryan, you have an incredible hard ripped physique of art, beautiful arms of silver steel."
Thank you.
Beautiful pink shirt. Miss Ryan, you are the greatest. We got to read the
Thank you.
details. Also, he says this. He says like Miss Ryan, you do great posing routines. Miss Ryan, you are the greatest. And
Thank you.
also he says this. He says women's figure must have guidelines to improve the division for women's worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, I think I talked to this one lady. Said she asked me, "What do you think is the problem? Why you're not seeing as many competitors trying to be pros or coming up, or so few competitors at the shows?" Well, I think issues between finances and big part is judging, because the judges are it's supposed to be a certain look. You're supposed to have that broad shoulders, that small tapering waist. You have
Yeah.
to have you're like an upside down Dorito. One girl explained to me,
Uh-huh.
and then you've seen girls who maybe a little bit more broader and thicker. I've seen one lady who just made a switch from women's physique to um, from figure to women's physique, and she just did the Toronto, and also she did the show in Spain.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few, and I think Tyler is doing a good job trying to get encourage those women who are better suited to be in physique to tell them, you need to go to physique. Um, I will say my feedback has always been very positive in definitely at a pro level, but even when I was a figure amateur, I actually had, okay, Ryan, you need to work on XYZ. Like you, 1 year it was great, conditioning is wonderful, great overall package. You just need to get bigger now that you won your pro card all over. And then the next year was you need to grow your back, your lower lats, your glutes, and your shoulders, and work on your presentation. And so that's exactly what I did. And what I so one thing that I can't control who steps on stage with me, right? The only thing I can control of is me. And I'm bringing always the best package that I can. And the person that I'm trying to beat is the person who was stepped on stage the last time. So for this last show, I'll, of course I wanted to win. Everybody wants to win, but I'm going to say that the winning was not my number one priority. My determination that the show was a good show or not was, did I accomplish everything that I wanted to accomplish, which is that I could control, which was bringing my best package, feeling confident and on the stage and not being nervous, enjoying everything and slowing down the entire routine so that I was able to actually hold the poses for a long enough time that the judges could see me, and B, the photographer was able to actually catch the picture, because in the past I would get so nervous that I would um, do each thing quickly, too quickly. One of the benefits that at the universe when I won pro is they had us all go out for our comparisons first before we did our individuals. So that helped me get my nerves out um, before I actually was up there all by myself. Because, like I said, the very first show that I did, I was bikini. And for me, I loved everything about it. But when I stepped on stage, I felt like it was the dreams that you have where you're walking into high school and you're completely naked. That's what it felt like for me. So, but it was so out of the norm for me to do something like that. And I that's another thing I love about bodybuilding is it takes you out of your norm. So, and it allows you to be your most authentic self. So you can be who you are, like your evil side that likes to come out. I love that. I love the fact that you have that, and I love the fact that it comes out. And I think that that's wonderful. That's what makes you you, and what makes this channel as special as it is.
Yeah. Well, I don't call him evil. I just call him a particular type of criminal. He likes anarchy and chaos. He likes things like dynamite, gunpowder, and gasoline. I won't say so much as evil. He's just misunderstood. But yeah, I think one thing I often hear, sometimes you have to learn to be comfortable, be uncomfortable.
Correct.
Because I remember I was talking to one lady yesterday how she has a friend. She says she's shy, but I tell you, how can you be shy when you're walking nearly butt naked, all down and tan across the stage? I mean, people will look at you. But again, I think everybody finds something about this sport that can be a little bit, you know, it might affect their mindset of the introvertness,
Yeah.
or but what it does, it brings out the best qualities of you. We go out there, like I say, like this: when we who are in the audience, we see these amazing bodies. You work hard, the condition you put into it, the shape you put into it,
Yeah.
the process of it, but to understand how long it took you from dieting to dehydration to hunger to sometimes trying to find the time to rest and recover, and
Correct.
then you just only have maybe a few minutes to walk across the stage, especially with figure. Y'all just got to do a bunch of turns, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely, I don't know. I think it's been one of the most enjoyable things for me that I've ever done, and I I never regretted ever stepping on stage, even as nervous as I was in the beginning. So I think it's awesome.
So, folks, where we got the lovely Mrs. Martin here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into her social media. We're gonna check her IG. Want to follow her links?
Oh,
Also, check out her platforms. Reach out to genuine interest. She's a lovely lady. She got a kid. I know, she's just maybe a week out. She's still a little bit pumped and ripped, guys. But calm down, hold yourself. Quail your loins. Yeah, I know you because I know when my crying Mrs. Martin is. I am a
yes.
muscle very small, y'all ladies. To cite me again. But guys, be respectful and reach out with genuine
Thank you.
interest and
Yes.
support. There no weird stuff. She got a kid. She don't want her baby to say, "Mom, send this shit to you, Mom." Say, "Hey, what's that?"
Oh,
But check her out, okay? So we're gonna jump
yes.
into her social media for a bit and check
All
it out
right.
here.
And you managed to find some nice old pictures back when I was bikini and selling device equipment and all sorts of fun stuff.
Well, it's the thing. It's called one thing I learned a long time ago is be aware of my surroundings at all time.
Yep.
Mistress. Because that's what I do is research. I always want to find out tell a story about who you are from you were here to where you are now. Here she at the Body B1 Classic, and wow, what do you feel like is your best physical feature? If I'm looking at you right now.
Oh, my back and my quads. So the back comes in really, really well, which I think is one of the reasons why a lot of people have said that they like me for physique. Because if I were to do the double back bite, even as a bikini competitor, I had really good pose. And then my quads are always stay pretty lean throughout the year, and they're usually most people recognize my conditioning because of my quads. Um, as always, my hamstrings and my glutes. Well, the glutes are actually have gotten quite large over the years, and to the point where I had two people tell me that now they make my hamstrings look smaller. So we're putting a high focus on my hamstring training, my outer sweep training, and more upper back now. So because I did develop a lot in my lower lats. Um, so I kind of want to start to increase the width a little bit again.
Yeah. Well, you do have nice, good taper, and that's good width in the back. Maybe a little more thickness here. It could be Wings Physique. And here she is with her trainer and coach. And who
Yep.
is he? How long y'all been together?
So Roger is actually a very good friend of mine. I pretty much have been training on my own since October, and then I hit the struggle bus real hard. And I really like somebody that I can talk to and bounce ideas off of, and actually learn from and train. I've trained with Roger as like a training partner from time to time, and so like because he's one of my closest friends, I of course reached out to him when I was like, okay, I need somebody else to take over the wheel here because I just don't want to think. And so for the last 3 weeks of the prep, he handled everything, and it um he made the show very enjoyable, very relaxed. Same thing with my husband. He came along, so I got to be a passenger princess for the whole drive up there. The two of them drove back and forth. Not that either one of them, they both have bad backs, so the back seat of my truck does not really feel that great. But Roger just started this. It's called a rice pudding. It's the first of its kind here in the United States that requires no cooking.
Mm,
So we had a booth at the show as well. I used it throughout my entire since they launched it in, I want to say, it's the last 4 months. Um, and it's super easy to make, and it really helps with getting in the correct carbs without bloating the stomach.
yeah. Here she is giving some instructions. You want to listen?
Thing. Oh boy. When your workout starts to hurt, when your lungs are burning, when your legs are shaking, what do you do? Do you push or do you pull back? Because that moment right there, that's where everything changes. Most people don't fail in the gym because they don't show up. They fail because they never go far enough. They never push themselves. They never get to a point of failure. They stop when it gets uncomfortable. They stop when it gets hard. They stop right before it actually starts to work. So let's be real. Growth doesn't live in comfort. It lives in that place where everything in your mind is telling you to quit, but you don't. That's the rep that matters. That's the set that changes your body. That's the moment that builds you up. You have to learn to embrace the suck, the burn, the fatigue, the doubt. That's not a sign to stop. That's a sign that you're exactly where you need to be. And the people who listen to it and the people who transform, they don't avoid that feeling. They're chasing it. They know that this pain is temporary, but progress lasts. Your mindset has to shift from this is hard, I need to stop, to this is hard, this is where I grow. This is where I'm going to succeed. Because every time you push past that limit, you build more than muscle. You build discipline. You build resilience. You build a version of yourself that doesn't quit, that can be applied to every aspect of your life. So next time you're in the gym and everything in your body is screaming stop, give me that one more rep, then another. Then prove to yourself that you really are who you really are. There are no shortcuts, no coasting, no excuses, just work. If you're ready to stop playing it safe and start pushing your limits, message me.
Yeah, it sounds like Rocky Balboa. Like, let me tell you something. Life's gonna hit you hard. No matter how hard you think you hit, it's how you take the hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. And she's also a friend Rogers. Check out his Rogers Rice is not cream of rice. Oh, cool. We'll give a moment for him.
I like to share important information over our product, Rogers Rice. A lot of people asked the last time on the events, is this cream of rice? Is this similar with cream of rice? What is the difference? No, it's not cream of rice. It's a complete new product. This product not exists in the USA. This is a new rice product. Cream of rice, traditional cream of rice, have a glycemic index from 75 to 80. This is similar with sugar. Rogers Rice pudding made with rice pieces have a glycemic index from 55 to 59. Much, much more slower in digesting, not so high insulin spike. Cream of rice. Cream of rice is made with 100% rice flour. I show you. You see it. It's the rice flour. We have here 2 traditional cream of rice from USA. You see it here. Rice flour. And now I show you Rogers Rice pudding. You see it here. We have big pieces. 80% is big pieces and 20% in smaller pieces. This is the difference from a rice pudding to cream of rice. The big pieces hold you long, give you long energy. The small pieces go fast in your system. It's perfect for breakfast, post-workout, and pre-workout, or snack, lunch, on the go. What do you want? Cream of rice is perfect when you need quick energy. And the big difference also, you can prepare Rogers Rice only with liquid. You need not a stove, a microwave. When you're on the go in your truck, you need only a bottle of water or fruit juice or milk, what you want, and you can eat. You have always real food to eat, not rice flour. This is a big difference for your gut, for your digesting system. You have a lot of more benefits when you eat real food and real carbs between rice flour. Okay?
Well, thank you, Roger, for sharing that. And also, we see that you also have on here several instructions, like for fat loss, and also, you see, you also do nutrition. So,
Yeah.
like, how many clients are, people looking for healthy lifestyle choices, and you have any competitors that also work with you too?
Yeah, I have. I would say the majority of my clients right now are more lifestyle, pain management, and then I would say a third of them are competitors. So, and the majority of competitors are some master pro competitors. So, and then I've got a couple who are amateur looking to turn pro.
Yeah, I know quite a few interviews have done with like a lot of Masters competitors. Masters really blown up the last couple of years. I've
Yeah.
known some ladies, I said again, who are in their 50s and 60s, even up to 70s competing now because they found the sport, or they've been a fan for a long time, but then life happens. You have kids, you have a job, and then you say, I think I came too late. Maybe you came at the right time because once the kids were growing out of it, because your daughter, she's 20, she's pretty much about grown. You gotta remember, she's not too grown. You gotta remember to beat him down. You gotta beat him down. Shout out to my man, Black Panther. He says this. He said, Miss Ryan, never allow anyone to stop you from pursuing your goals. Also, he's telling you this. He says this. He says, Miss Ryan, you have beautiful hair. He likes your hair.
Oh, thank you.
And also, he says this. Shout out to him. He says, marriage, children are a great blessing. And also, he says this. He says, he says, great success, take your time, patience, and longevity. And one more, he says, Miss Martin, do you participate in other activities outside of women's figure?
Oh yeah, so I thoroughly love mountain biking, but I have not been on my mountain bike in about a year. The last time I rode, I fell off, and I'm highly allergic to poison ivy, and it was 3 weeks to Toronto Pro, and I almost went there with all the blisters covering my body. But thankfully, my friend, who's a nurse practitioner, wrote me a script for a steroid pack, and that helped clear everything up just in time. So I love doing the mountain biking when it's my off season. I grew up with horses. So I used to breed horses. I used to train horses. I've pretty much retired from them, but Roger's wife, Karina, actually has 2 horses, and she is slowly but surely pulling me back into wanting to get back on the horse. So, you might see a video of me riding again someday. But it would, at that point, it would be fun. I wouldn't be trying to go crazy with doing anything professionally. So it would just be more fun trail riding, maybe the odd eventing. If I were to get back into the horses, it would be eventing where you jump crazy fences that don't fall down if you run right into them. So
Well, I grew country. I've seen horses. I've seen them, been close to them, but I never rode one in my life. But my family, they did sharecropping, and I remember stories about plow behind a mule, and the mule would just flop in the middle of the field, and then if that mule don't go, you can't do nothing. So But I think everybody have to have something that gives them a passion. Doing this is kind of a passion for me. When I get to talk to women like yourself and hear your stories. Like this, you're the 3rd interview of this week for me. I mean, back to back. I was busy. I just also talked to a lady who she was doing physique, but she made her switch to, her name is Brittany Felicia. She made her debut as a figure competitor at the Toronto Super Show. I got to watch the show, and I heard about the situation you had wasn't as bad as the situation they had this Toronto Super Show. I mean, it was the
Did they
stories I'm
spray her
hearing.
face after all the makeup was on, and you're the first one out?
Yeah.
I said, did they spray her face with her tan after her
know.
makeup was on, and then they had to redo hair and makeup?
Yeah, probably. I don't know, because like I said, she can give you details of it, but I think it was a lot of because they didn't start doing. They already had a schedule set.
Yeah.
Then they kept pushing back the schedule, and then I think figure didn't finish up for the finals till like about 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and then physique and women's bodybuilding was nearly to midnight for the end.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. I was talking to one lady who was making her pro debut that day. I interviewed her. Her name is Shannon. She lives in Pennsylvania. She was talking, and her friend was with her to talk about how things were just going like, I mean, it was just like, but one friend told me also that it happens sometimes. But again, a big show like Toronto, you should be better prepared.
Yes, agreed. But you know what? There are some things that they just, they rely on other people, and there are some things that are out of their control. So we try best as much as possible to mitigate the issues, but not all of them can be fully controlled.
All right. We have a comment from my man Black Panther. He says this. He says, mountain bike riding, mountain bike and horse back riding are great exercise for the legs for
Yep.
fun. Miss Martin, you are the greatest.
Thanks.
Also, he says this. He says, Miss Martin, you have great arms. Keep up the great work. So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Appreciate that. And the thing is that, things happen. We have to be prepared, especially
Yes.
when we get ready for competition. Like I look at this sport, and if you look at some other sports where you can make a living off of it, you can, even if you play in like the NFL, NBA, or if you're just starting out in the sport, like major league sport, you can make a living with it. Bodybuilding, only a handful of people can make a living out of it. People like Andrea, people like Samson Dua, I know
There.
Andrew Jack got literally $1 million doing 2 Arnold shows.
Yeah.
But and for y'all women, there is the cost of, because you're doing masters, meaning you have to pay to play, then you have to
Yep.
go to the shows, and
Yep.
this and that, and then show day is your biggest expense because you have to have your makeup done, your hair done, your suits together, you got to be glued, lace, sprayed, tan, glazed, and you have to be out there presenting these bodies.
Yep. Yeah. It ironically enough, I've managed to cut all my costs because now I do my own hair. Now I do my own makeup. I will always pay for the tan because I do feel that if you try to do that on your own, you don't look right on stage. Especially when everybody else is almost the same color, you know. Um, and then and I will say that the tanning for the most part has been fairly reasonable. Like at this last show was 155. Tampa was like 165. Max is going to be 155, 165, something like that. So again, not too crazy, but because I have spent so much money on my tan, I try to make this tan last as long as possible. So I'm always patting dry so I don't get the streaks. So, and then um, from Tampa to MaxFit, though, I might have to use there's a special soap that you can use to get the tan off faster. So I might have to do that so that I'm actually fresh for the for the MaxFit, because that one actually has a pretty decent purse. So we talked a little bit about the divisions getting smaller and smaller. A lot of the purses go towards bikini for women and wellness, and then bodybuilding for men. Like at the Tampa Pro, I think the bodybuilder category for pros is a $10,000 winning for first place, but for open it's only $2,000 for a figure. So same now with Max Fit. It's they have a $10,000 purse for um, figure 40 plus. So it makes sense.
And see, with the guys, got all the guys wear is a pair of banana hammers and board shorts. They, other than the tan and stuff like that, they have no many expenses. And we always know that men and women are not going to be equal, but I think a little bit more. I mean, as you know, Anastasia Ryder just did a GoFundMe because this year they're going to cut out women's bodybuilding from the Tampa Bay show. I got to meet Tim
Well,
Gardner when I went there.
yeah. Well, to her effect, okay, I was actually working one of the NPC shows, and the same weekend she was doing Chicago Pro, she came in third in women's bodybuilding and won a whopping $500. $500. The overall NPC bikini competitor won $300. I was like, well, good for the NPC person for actually winning, but the person who like and again, I'm not poo pooing. I understand the money goes towards usually the people who draw the most amount of attention, right? That's why you see, the NFL players make more money than the women categories, than the women's sports. That's just general, except the only place where women have an advantage are going to be your dance and your gymnastics. So, men having a, not quite the same advantages there. Um, but the it Anastasia had to work so hard and for so long to get where she is. To make $500 is unfortunate. So, I mean, that doesn't even cover, that probably covered the cost of her flight and maybe her tan. So, and of course, we don't do this. We don't do this for the money, but, it would be nice for, you know, something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I
one
know
of these days,
yeah, and she's been a guest on my channel a couple of times. I know she lives in Florida, but I think I remember last time talking, she was going to take a break, but now because they're trying to unify for women's bodybuilding, I know she did
oh,
Toronto. She I think she might be planning on Tampa.
I think
And she
she
said
is.
you're doing Tampa also in Max Fit. So those are two shows you can do for the finish up the season.
Yeah, yeah, at least for sure. Those are the two that are on the docket. I've already signed up for Tampa. MaxFit I'm gonna wait until my credit card statement closes and then I'll put it on the next month because I don't like to carry balances. I'm like, I'm one of those crazy people. Um, and uh I have to make sure that I have a I I'm not your average personal trainer, so I have a lot more expenses because of all my devices and whatnot. So I have to make sure that I cover all of that is covered for the cost of the business first before I make any future decisions. But Daytona has a Masters figure competition in September. There was another one in October that I was looking at, and one in November, which has the potential of qualifying you for 2027's Olympia. So they would be some of the first shows. I didn't want to pick any. I wanted to pick shows that I could drive to. So again, that helped to navigate some of my costs because I think I ended up spending almost $5,000 in Toronto. So thankfully, thankfully, these wonderful people here, Oxford, who are two devices that I have here. They're actually AI exercise equipment that simulate 500 pounds on the one piece of equipment and 250 on the other. And then it can turn into Pilates reformer, swimming machine, ski cross, paddleboarding, you name it, this thing can do it. Um, they ended up sponsoring me and covering $1,500 of my costs. So that ended up, you know, helping quite a bit cover the cost of that trip.
Yeah,
So
sponsorship does help because it's tough to a friend told me like this. Sometimes you have to still for Peter to pay Paul, because
yes,
there's a lot of spend, especially for showtime, from anything up from the travel to food to expenses to your gear, whatever you're using.
yeah.
It's a lot of money. It's good if you can find somebody who wants to support your goals and your achievement as a bodybuilder. We have here one Mr. It's a new one. This is Marco. He says, "This is. I'm glad Ryan is back on stage this year. I was same show with her last year at Toronto. Thank
Oh,
you,
awesome.
Marco. And also my man here, Black Panthers. Preparation and long-time backup plans are essential to prepare for the
Sure.
unexpected. Sometimes we ask for help we need when needed. Take
Yep.
more incentive is part of great success. Also, shout out to Marco again. He says, "How do you maintain your presence when the judges aren't looking directly at you?"
Well, so that's a great question. So if I'm up on stage, well, first and foremost, it's so hard for me not to dance when I hear the music going on. And at Body B1, oh my God, they played this line dancing song. So it was like one stomp, stomp with your left leg, stomp with your right leg. And everybody jokingly said, because the girls had to do quarter turns in the opposite direction of what the song was playing. But I'm standing there, I'm holding my poses, and I'm like stomping my heel. So I did get caught kind of dancing a little bit. But if you are on stage and you are there, you have to think that they are looking at you, that they are judging you. So, and if it kind of discourages you that they are not looking at you, don't look at them in the eyes. Look above them, just above their heads. So, and that's another thing that you can do if you feel like really nervous when they do like look. Like I've had judges like lock eyes with me, and sometimes I was like wow, that's intense. So but if you but again, if that happens to you, then you can just go look just a little bit above, look at their forehead or look at their hairline, and that will help to navigate and to help minimize those uncomfortable feelings. But enjoy the time that you're on the stage, because we have spent months, if not years, preparing to be up there on stage. So regardless if they're looking at you or not, have fun, should be show off your best self. Like I got tired and I tried different positions a couple of times. Um, because I knew that I was going to be on the well, I didn't know I was going to be on the second call out, but when they were doing the first call outs, um, I knew I needed to still have something in reserve so that when I am up there and judged against the other girls, I still had enough energy. So you want to look good, but you don't want to blow your wad, for lack of a better term. So
Yeah. You want to like empty out the gas tank when you still have more to do,
right.
because you're just doing prejudging. Then you got to come back a couple hours later and do finals, and then
Oh,
when,
no, 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 no. I mean, they hadn't even called me up yet to do the comparisons because they were doing the first call outs yet. So
oh,
I was still having to stand there, hold my pose, flex my quads. But I knew that I was eventually going to have to be called up to be compared either in second or third call out. So I had to save some of that energy so that when I did stand up there and I am being compared against the other women, then I still had enough gas in the tank to get my quads to flex correctly so that they look the best on stage. So,
yeah. We have comment shout to my man. He says this says, Miss Martin, you are the greatest inspiration for women worldwide. Have a wonderful day.
thank you.
Also, he says this. He says, Mrs. Martin, you are the greatest. He's repeating himself. And also, he says this. I got to put my glasses for this one. He says, dancing is great for the soul.
That's
Mrs.
right.
Martin, you have a wonderful smile. You are the greatest. Stay strong. Enjoy your day. But they keep repeating yourself. But thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a experience beyond your, like, when you remember your first time, especially back in bikini, what was that like for you? Going on
Like,
stage in a little bikini, and you have to have people looking at you. What was your feelings that day?
oh, like I said, it was terrifying the first couple of experiences. So, and it was funny every time I posted pictures of me practicing posing, because I would always practice the smile, because they say practice, it's that mind muscle connection, right? My best friends, who are like my sisters, my mother, everybody, and my actual physical sister, who is a photographer, they would all send me messages. Ryan, do something with your face. You do something with your smile. I was like, guys, stop. When I get on stage, I will be in a good place mentally and I will be having a good time. The smile would be natural. This looks like a forced smile because it was a forced smile. I was pretending. So while I was doing my practice posing, I'm like, you guys are going to give me a complex. Um, but the more often you do it, and the more comfortable, the more authentic you are to who you are, then I think the easier it is for you, the more enjoyable it is for you to be up on stage. If you do not feel like you're a bikini competitor, which I didn't feel like I was a bikini competitor, I actually, there was the second to the last bikini show that I did. Um, I was in first position and they moved me from first to third. and I felt a wave of relief pass over my body. I was like, "Oh wow, that was interesting." And then the next show after that, um, I walked because again, I like to do a lot of visualization and I like to prepare myself. So I like to go up onto the stage before anybody is in the room. So when I walked into the room, looking at the stage, I felt this fear overwhelm me, but not a fear of losing, a fear of winning. And that was again a little light went off on in my head, and I didn't. The judges didn't even look up at me. I was the second to the last person, um, and that was fine. It was right after that show that I said, okay, why am I doing bodybuilding? Why am I competing? Well, I'm competing because I want to push myself as hard as I can. And if glutes are my weak link and I can look at a plate, my back will grow, and you love the way figure women look, then just move to figure. And so I just moved to figure. I said, forget it. I don't care what everybody says because my mom used to tell me all those women are too big. And I'm talking about this is like 6, 7 years ago. So the women were smaller back then than they are now. And my husband used to say the same thing. But as I started doing the division and they see how much benefit I am getting from this sport, they became more and more supportive. They see I don't always look like I do up on stage every day. Actually, I had a lot of my other clients were like, "Oh my God, Ryan, I can't believe how big you were on stage." And I was like, "Yeah, it's it's different. That stage look is for that one particular day." And now my mom and my husband are my two biggest supporters. So both financially and emotionally, we jokingly say I've got to get a shirt made for my mom that says my stuff because she's always carrying my stuff around for me. So she does make my life much easier when she's able to come to the shows as my husband does the same thing. So
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing you have your mother. I miss mine. She was my woman. Your wife
yeah.
took care of her. She took care of me. And here's some pictures here that I pulled up. This is one. This is like, wow, you have really evolved
Yeah.
as a competitor over time. And here she is. Here, this I think is what about the time that you got your pro card?
No, I was still NPC here. So this is the posing clinic that I met Stella and Natalia.
Oh, all right, all right.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like? Because you did the universe, which is run by Steve Weinberger, and
Yeah.
it's one of the biggest pro shows. This couple next weekend is going to be, I think, the
Yes.
Masters Nationals. I talked to ladies going to compete that weekend, and also the I think the universe is also the same month. What was that
Yeah.
experience like
Universe
when?
is July 4th weekend, and then Masters is 3 weeks later.
All right, oh yeah, because yeah, okay, that's close. Wow, can you believe it's almost last? Wow,
Yeah.
yeah. But what was that feeling like when they told you now you are IFBB pro?
I cried. So you lost your mom, I lost my dad. So I do understand that. My father did not um he didn't originally support the bodybuilding. And at the very end, literally, he was like, I've done a lot of research, and um, this is a real sport, and I'm proud of you for doing this. So that touched me. And then that winter, I actually my one of my friends, Todd, passed away. Had a massive heart attack, uh, shoveling the snow, and Todd used to come and meet me at all the shows. So when my parents wouldn't come to the shows back in the day, and um, so I dedicated that show to him, and I won. And this last show, I dedicated it to Jesus, to God, because my husband and I started to go back to church in January, and I'm kind of gone like head deep into the Catholic Church and religion, and I have not missed a day of church since going back. And the Holy Spirit has blessed me and filled me, and um, so yeah. So both of those were great experiences.
No, I'm glad you found your religion. I mean, it helps you that it's important to have that faith because you know
Yes.
what, sometimes there'll be days where you feel like what, how can I make it? How can I go? And God's always got your back. He get you. He has he has a hand behind you, keep pushing you to make your goals come true.
Yep.
And again, I mean, a lot of people need to understand that this is a lot of about consistency, work, discipline, determination. It's not as easy as a lot of people think. That thing is, if it's not as easy as they think, they don't want to try it. They say, you know what, I got to do all this and all that, all this. But if you don't do that, you're not going to, bring a great presentation of your physique. Like
Right.
when you're at the gym, because you say your own coach, you're doing your own coach, so you don't have to worry about, have to, coach saying, hey, what's the time of check is? Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's that thing you like the most about when you're training? What's your favorite thing? What's the thing you say, oh God, I don't want to do it today?
So I like to lift really heavy. I like to be the strongest person in the gym. It sounds really like a short man syndrome, but I definitely I like to lift heavy. I really enjoy that. I really like to push my own PRs. Um, I like the camaraderie when I train with other people, especially when I'm struggling and I'm like deep in the hole. So I've kind of gotten slowly but surely out of the whole ego lifting and reconnecting, like really connecting with the movements and not just throwing the weight around. Um, so finding the exercises that work best to stimulate the muscles that for me that I find uh, very beneficial, what very enjoyable. When I can walk out of the gym and I feel like my like um, yesterday I trained quads and my legs were so engorged that you couldn't see lines at all. And it was so and I couldn't even flex my legs. And today I'm having a hard time walking, which is a great feeling. I love it. I think only bodybuilders truly understand the sadistic enjoyment that we get from feeling sore.
Yeah, I think that's leg day is the day. That day is like I have ladies told me like I love my leg day. I said you're a sick masochist. You must be twisted. You something wrong with you. But I think
Yeah.
everybody finds something when they go to the gym what they love, and also it's a place to work on your strengths as much as your weaknesses. We have a comment here from man Marco. Shout out to Marco sticking in here. Thank you, brother, for coming through. He says, "What legacy do you want to leave behind for the next generation of women entering the figure division?" That's a pretty good question. Wow.
Yeah, so I actually want to leave behind for women to be true to themselves, to live an authentic lifestyle, to follow their passion, and to always be in pushing yourself further. So, and remember, you have only control over yourself. So, still enjoy the process, be supportive of other women, especially in your own in your own division, because I think women have a tendency to be a little bit more, um,
Caddy.
yes, yes, they can be competitive. I think that was the word I was trying to think of. We're a little bit more competitive with one another, and I think that that's coming from a biological standpoint because you know if we weren't the most beautiful or if our partner didn't find us whatever blah 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 we had the potential of being thrown out, cast out, killed, hurt, whatever. So I mean it might be a genetic thing, but at the end of the day we're not living in the cavemen world anymore, and so we should support one another. And there's having a friend that is knows everything that's going on that you're going through makes the whole experience so much more fun. So
Yeah, because especially in sport, when you talk about how your father wasn't too keen on it, and your mom or your husband, but then they came around. I
yeah,
have talked to ladies who said that you lost friends because hey, they say, hey, I'm going to the restaurant. You want to come? He said, nah, I gotta go to sleep. I gotta go catch my workout in the morning. I'm doing this. He said, and I can't drink. If I can come here, I'm gonna bring my own food because I can't eat what you
yeah,
got there. And and also dealing with, because again the sport is being so extreme. It's a kind of a fetish sport. If you look at it in some aspects of it, it's a fringe sport. But you know what? If you find something that you like about it, and it's something
Yeah.
that helps you grow as a person, as an athlete, then you should enjoy it. I wouldn't waste my time worrying about what people got to say, because you know what? I've heard comments, guys talk about, hey, she's trying to be all manly and big with muscles. You're a little man, so you got a little man complex. Come on, this is a lady, and this
Yeah.
is this is what she likes to do. Like, what would you say for yourself that really, that really gets you into sport, what really inspires you as a competitor?
What inspires me, what used to inspire me was my kids. I wanted to prove to my kids that when you set a goal, it doesn't matter if it takes you 3 years to make that goal achievable or 10 years. You keep at it until you achieve that goal. So I didn't, I felt myself as a teenager, anytime things would get hard, which is why I did the motivational speech that I did, was every time things would get hard, I would give up. I'd be just like, it's too hard. Oh, my legs, they hurt every time I'd run. I'd hate that feeling. I'd get the bloody sputum in the back of my throat, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to walk, instead of constantly pushing myself. So, but had I realized, when you push yourself, the amount of accomplishment that you feel internally for going to that distance, it exceeds the physical benefits. You end up becoming more motivated in yourself. You start believing in yourself more. You become more dedicated. When when a job issue comes up, or a schooling issue comes up, now, hey, I just ran 5 miles, or I just did XYZ when I didn't feel like doing XYZ. If I can do it here, I can apply the same philosophy to this area of my life. So it's going to affect you all over.
Yeah, that's really, it's really inspirational. You know yourself and your own truths, and what guides you or drives you. I'm gonna have a little fun with you here, because
Okay.
one thing is that I'm a fat man. I like food.
Oh,
And
I love food.
sometimes, as my other half would say, what's that thing that make you stranger but make you stronger? Like, especially after that long prep and you've been on that diet, you're eating chicken and quinoa, and eating, still food with no flavor, and your daughter can eat anything she wants because she's a little tiny little thing. What was that thing that you had that you would call in your name that you desired the most after the show?
So we went to this little silo, like pub, and I had brisket tacos, and then half of my husband's dinner, or 3/4 of my husband's dinner, which he had brisket quesadillas, and then I had two Guinnesses. And I was so fat and happy. It was great. The fat girl in me. I told you I was a chunky monkey kid growing up. So the fat girl in me was very happily satisfied. But realistically, I mean, because I've been doing this for so long, the cravings that I have, I've managed to fit in my diet for the most part. Um, so and I will treat myself from time to time. So, like, honeycomb, like the actual comb. You give me a piece of comb like this, and it'll be gone in 24 hours. I will eat the whole damn thing, but then I'll be good, and then I won't have it in my house for a while. But if I know that it's there, then I'm gonna want to eat it. Like, was supposed to eat jelly. I don't normally do jelly. I usually use honey, but Roger wanted me to use jelly and sweet potatoes and some other stuff to put on top of my rice cakes. So I had like that much jelly left over, and it's already gone. So I will eat it, and then when it's gone, and I'm done. Um, when I started prep a couple, probably 6 7 years ago, I asked my husband to keep the peanut butter out of the house. because I can't control myself, or I couldn't at the time control myself. And now the peanut butter is there. I haven't had it in so long that it's like I'm an ex-smoker kind of deal. So like I don't, I don't remember what it tastes like. So I'm good. I don't need to eat it. And every time I have tried it, the Jiffy peanut butter tastes so fake that I can't. I'm like, bleh. So, but the True Nut peanut butter powder, that that makes the fat girl in me very happy. So, and that's what I've managed to do. Like I've come up with like if I want ice cream, I'll put 0% Greek yogurt, mix it in with my protein powder. I'll add chia seeds because that helps with the digestion and it gives me a little bit of crunch. And then, I'll put blueberries. I'll mix it all up, put it in the freezer for about 45 minutes. It cools it down enough, but it doesn't turn it into a brick. And I feel like I'm eating yogurt, or I feel like I'm eating ice cream. I might sprinkle some honey on it to give it a little sweetness. And then I feel like I'm getting a treat. So for the
Yeah.
most part, my diet is pretty much the same. It's just more going out dinners when I'm off prep um, than when I'm on prep. Because when I'm on prep, I'm pretty OCD about, you know, like what I'm consuming. And even down to like I buy the Himalayan sea salt packets so that my salt is exactly the same from meal to meal to meal. So
That's one thing you want to keep account of your calories. Want to keep account of your macros and make sure everything is don't miss a detail. We have here
right.
shout out to my man Marco again. He says it's awesome to hear that from her. Can I ask more questions? Okay, we'll give you a few more and
Yeah.
then we'll be wrapping up. Also, he says, how do you maintain a healthy relationship with your body image when your mind starts playing tricks on you during the flattening out or softening phase of a cycle?
So I honestly like the way my body looks when it's flat. So I have a tendency to be more flat than full. I think that's just the way my genetics are. So the flatness doesn't bother me so much. Psychologically, when I get fluffy, that has more of an effect on me because I was a chunky monkey kid and I carried a higher body fat percentage as a kid, which again would not by today's standards be chunky monkey, but in the 80s it most certainly was. Um, I that's where I'm like, you know, I'm like, honey, do you still find me attractive? And do I still look okay? When people start asking me if I'm a CrossFitter instead of a bodybuilder, then I'm like, okay, it's time for me to start dialing things back and going on a cut or trimming up my appetite a little bit. So, but I also have done that so many times now that I know that there are times and places where I need to be in that stage. My strength just goes through the roof when I hit a certain body fat percentage, which to so I have a device called the shape scale. It's very similar to a DEXA scan. And the highest I've been on the DEXA scan over the last couple of years is maybe 12% body fat, which for a woman is low. But for me, if you look at those pictures at that percentage, it definitely didn't seem like 12%. So to me, it was like, I'm thinking closer to, 18%, 19, 20, like more normal, like average non bodybuilder. But I will say, because this go around, I stayed leaner. This prep was significantly easier than any other prep I've ever had. So it really just felt like almost like I'm doing, honestly, I worked a full day on Wednesday, got my nails done on Thursday, drove up to Montgomery, slept in the car a little bit, lied down for half the day, did my check-ins, did my spray in, jumped on stage and started the whole process. I was back to work on Monday. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to maintain, to train, to diet, and to get ready for a show. We have here a man, KL the Wanderer. He says this. He said she overcame her peanut butter fetish. That's my man
Yes,
King of the Wanderer. We do lives together. He's a fan of women of muscle and like myself. But
yes,
yeah, I think you know what this is the thing about the sport. It takes a lot. You have to have a certain mindset. The understanding what is involved with it. And it's not as easy as a lot of people think, especially you want everything quick, fast, in a hurry, but it's not going to work like that. As I've been often been told, this is not a race, it's a marathon. You want to take time to grow, time to develop. And I think also with ladies who, like yourself, who are mature, it's a lot harder because, you know, one thing you hit that muscle maturity, and that does help
yeah,
a little bit. But then it's a process of growing and developing. You might have to work
correct.
on something a little more than the other because you know it's just understanding how your body grows and how you develop and how how what this is right what one thing can help you in your process. So but we're not gonna hold her much too longer. I know she's a busy
Yeah, I was
lady.
gonna say my phone looks like it's about to die.
Yeah, it's about to die. So I'm gonna ask her this last question. What would you want for yourself out of bodybuilding towards your future?
Well, I honestly, I would like to go to Olympia as a competitor in the open category to show that age is just a number, and um and that when you want to start something, it doesn't matter when you start it, because I mean, like I said, it wasn't like I started in at 40 and I was fitness training my entire life, and I always had, well, was always um, lifting. I was like the average American. I'd go to the gym for about 3 or 4 weeks. I was a cardio bunny. I'd lift a little, and then I'd take 3 to 6 weeks off, and then I'd start the whole process again. Um, so I wouldn't say that I really put a high priority on my fitness and my lifestyle until I turned 40, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this bodybuilding thing. So um, now I also will be very happy if I make it to Masters Olympia as well. So, but that's what I would personally like to get out of it, to show that age is just a number. When you have the right tools at hand and you have the right mindset and you have the right genetics, you can do anything that you set your mind to.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I know. Sometimes we have to really get over the fact that, well, we're not as young like we used to be. We're not as the spry, jumping around like little chicks. But you know, but understand that take your time and also use energy constructively. We have here in office my man Marco. He says this. He says, "Can you ask her who's going to be 2026 Mr. Olympia?" Well, you already asked, brother. So
I don't. I have no idea.
I wouldn't worry about it. I don't
So
care who.
I
I don't
will
care who's
tell you
Mr.
this:
Olympia.
Derek has some amazing equipment at his facility. So
Yeah, I got to meet Mr. Lungford right at Tampa the day right before he won the title. I didn't
yeah,
realize he's short of a dude. I mean, I'm
he'll.
only 5'7", but I think he's like 5'5", something like that. But
Well, no matter what, he's taller than me. So you
yeah, yeah,
know, I, I
yeah,
think I think I, I think for the majority, the only division where height is a benefit for you is the one I'm in.
yeah. I think it's a tall girl division. So
It
what?
is.
Yeah. So folks, if you want to follow her, her links description is live, and also you want to support her. She does have a sponsor, but it doesn't hurt to have another sponsor to cover a lot of the costs. And you know what? I know guys out there, you love these ladies. Reach out, say, hey, Ryan, yeah, I like your name. It's kind of boring. No, you're sick, freak. Stop it. She got a husband, got a kid. What you should do like this. Mrs. Martin, we like your plan, your health lifestyle training. We would like to help you process and grow in your business and also help promote you as a bodybuilder. So if you feel like our product works with your training, your lifestyle, we'd love to sponsor your upcoming show. So let us know, madam, if this works for you.
That would be great. And for the Tampa Pro, I do have um, one of the products that I sell here in my office. It's called Stem Regen. It is a um, protocol that helps to increase your own stem cells. So we're running for both of it. It's a 2-month advanced protocol. Um, to see how much additional muscle I can gain and or maintain throughout this time frame for both the Tampa Pro and the Max Fit. So that, but that particular product line, they have shown to reverse um, chronic heart failure in a matter of 6 months doing the protocol that I'm doing. So, and with stem cells, it's going to help you heal any body part anywhere, right? So if you happen to be doing something that's damaging your liver or damaging your kidneys or possibly damaging your heart, it's going to go and work at healing those areas before they'll heal the muscles or help increase muscle mass. I'll give you an example. The other day, I cut myself pretty bad and it was healed in 3 days. I'm usually take like a week or longer to heal from like slicing my thumb after trying to cut something. So I was blown away with it at that point. And every time I come off of this product, I'm like, why do I feel so old? I still try to do the same exercise routine and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh. But after the age of 35, our stem cells, we actually start to produce less. Same thing with growth hormone, right? That's why the peptides are huge right now. And again, if you have access to normal growth hormone, my recommendation is always go that route. If you're over the age of 40, then going to the peptides. As long as your doctor is willing to do that for you, I think you'll get more benefit, more bang for your buck. But this one allows your body after 2 capsules to increase 10 to 20 million of your own stem cells. So I'm very happy to be working with them.
That's good. So good like this, especially because I'm gonna be 52 in November. I am not a spring chicken anymore. And, I try to work out a little bit, run the house a little bit, but I know some days it's tough, especially you got old football injuries and
Yeah,
old job injuries and everything else. Body's beaten down. But like Rocky Balboa, it's not how hard you hit; it's how hard you take the hits, keep moving forward.
that's
So
right.
folks, we're going to thank the lovely Mrs. Ryan Martin. Congratulations on her upcoming shows. If you want to follow links in the description of this live. I want to shout out my man KL, the one who came through. Marco, thank you for the questions, brother. Black Panther,
Thank you.
thank you. All who watch this video, I thank you for your support. Reach out to Ryan. You have anybody you want to shout out before we let you go?
Um, just my mom, my husband, my kids, Roger. Thank you guys for everything that you guys have done for me. I thoroughly appreciate you all. And to all of my clients who have supported me throughout this entire 2 years of opening up my facility and helping me throughout the whole bodybuilding process. You guys have been great. I've made some amazing friends in this whole process, and I love you all.
Mm-hmm. And before I let you go, ma'am, he has to say something. He wants to say, Ryan, I want to tell you something. You are beautiful. I'm sorry about
Thank
him.
you.
I'm trying to see a specialist. We kind of unite our personalities a little bit, but But ma'am, thank you again. Best of luck. I
Thank
will be
you.
watching the Tampa Pro because and I will
Awesome.
support y'all ladies. And folks, again, you want to check her out if you're interested in working with her. If you are someone who's going through some stuff and you're looking for a better way, a natural, more holistic way, reach out with your interests. Don't be that weird guy. She got a kid, she got a husband. Please support these ladies, the men and women support of bodybuilding. This is your man always Joe Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't subscribe. Good night, good luck, God bless, and see you next time.
See you guys.